A brief drunk history of Cabo. This is what happened, well, sort of, and don't quote me. The end of the Baja was a barren and desolate place known by the few Pericu and Wakura aboriginals. Scourging for seeds, roots, and shellfish in the waterless desert was not exactly luxurious. After Cortez the Killer raided Mexico and the Spanish Galleons laden with stolen New World riches for the crown, pirates appeared. Sir Francis Drake was the first known taker and was called the Scourge of God by the Spaniards. Later on in 1587, Thomas Cavendish, another particularly scourgy sailor, lay in wait for the heavily laden 700-ton Spanish galleon Santa Ana and made pirate history. Pirates were a mere child's play compared with the dreaded missionaries. First, the fearsome Jesuits made inroads in 1697. They were immediately hated and later extinguished by the oppressed locals, soon replaced by the barely more tolerable Dominicans in 1773. They at least knew how to farm and brought some vines. Come 1804, the Spanish crown divided the Baja into north with Franciscans and south with Dominicans, but it hardly mattered. The Mexican-American War ended and the Baja was saved from those northern squatters who didn't see the value of the slim pickings of the Baja. After the California gold rush dried up north, gold was discovered in Triunfo, just south of La Paz, and a new influx of craggy, smelly miners spilled into the Sierra de las Lagunas. At the peak, there were 10,000 people, and Triunfo was the first town with electricity, telephones, and prostitutes. A few even made some dough, but most just discovered tequila. Could be worse for sure. After the silver and gold boom ended, the town of Todos Santos had their turn with farming sugar cane. By early 1900s, they had 8 sugar mills, but ended up with only one by the time the town's water dried up in 1950. Todos was later discovered by hippies and surfers. By the 1950s, the lower Baja was still pretty isolated. The fortunate few who called this paradise home lived by simple means, paid no tax, nor had much law, except for the common decency prerogative that is really all one needs. The only real jobs were at the lone tuna factory. One fateful day, they spied a small, single-prop plane bringing some rich dude who wanted a marlin. After landing at the airstrip that later became the marina, he hired a guide and went fishing. Unfortunately, he was wildly successful and retold his tale of adventurous monster slaying in Cabo, and that was the beginning of the ruin. As it turns out, his story went far and wide, and the in-crowd of Hollywood took notice. Bing, Lucy, the Duke, who were invited by Rod and Lucille to Hotel Las Cruces, the legendary fishing and world-class lodging, were at private clubs which eventually were called hotels for local jurisprudence sake. Things remained idyllic for quite some time due to the fact that you couldn't just fly southwest on budget. No, to make the trip to the tip of the Baja took grit, determination, and most important, cash. You either flew private or floated in a big boat that's big enough to get you there and back without support, which meant no gas, no go. These new places to stay were legendary in style. Hotel Palmilla in San Jose, the Hotel Cabos and Lucas at El Tule. Soon after, they built the Hacienda in Medano Beach, and Twin Dolphin beside Santa Maria, Solmar, and Finisterre on the Pacific side of Cabo. The wild idea of building cliffside mansions at the Pedregal began, same time as the Marina, the Interpeninsula Highway, and statehood in 1974. This was the beginning of the modernization of this once forgotten, formerly isolated and desolate cape. With the new highway and the new airport, it became possible for the middle class to drive down or fly commercial. But what really escalated things was the invention of timeshare. Blue-collar folks could stumble off the cruise ship or pony up a few thousand and own a week each year. Once they sold out the first timeshare, they added more. And once that sold out, they kept at it until every available beach between Cabo and San Jose became either a timeshare hotel or an RV park or oceanfront houses or golf courses. Jack Nicklaus has been credited for both promoting and destroying the Cape. Since fishing was so excellent back in the day, catching a whopper in the morning with time to tee off in the afternoon was a two-sport day. Then, of course, was the epic nightlife. Squid Row opened on a dirt road not far from the Giggling Marlin, and then Sammy got in the game and opened Cabo Wabo in 1990. By the time this drunk narrator got wind of Cabo, it was 2004 and the place had just scored Costco. Should have bought more land back then when it was still $8 a meter square. Los Cabos is really Mexico light with a touch of California or even Scottsdale on the beach. Do miss the open beaches and the fence-free trail riding as well as a quiet drive to San Jose for some authentic chili rellenos. Now, 17 years later, here I sit, watching the colors of the sunset with a half-empty bottle of Jimador, a cooler of Modelo Specials, and a tightly rolled spleef. Fortunate to have my local companion Oakley and my lovely reminding me to be a better boy. I'm trying. Well, that's what happened, sort of.